So the object here is to win.
No dough, no show.
Sounds to me like you guys are a couple of bookies.
Show me the money.
Welcome back to the show. Holy shit, it's been a long time, boys, but we are glad to be back. My name is Shane, also known as the Arbologist on X. As always, joined by my boy Nick, also known as the Arb Father. You know, we're missing AT, we're missing Arb Thief, we're missing the other Nick again. He can't be with us this week, but he's soon to come back, man, and the trio is back on track. What do you say, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, it feels a little weird, to be sitting here in front of the mic again, but I'm excited. It's been a while. A lot of people have been reaching out in DMs, checking on us, ready to send out the search parties, but we're here. We're here and we're back and we're ready to go.
Yeah, boys, we're gonna keep it going. Don't worry about that, man. We took a little hiatus, but it's all full steam motion from here. So in today's show, we do have two special guests we're gonna bring on a little bit later. These are guys from limited market states. One guy from Florida, one guy from California. And the key is that they're going to communicate and talk about their journeys, how they got started with edge betting, their strategies, the books they use. We think it's really, really important to share that information with the community because there's so many people in these limited market states that either don't get started or just don't see the edges. And these guys are just living proof that it can work. And so we're working with Sid. He's on X. He's the West Coast Arbs. It's just called West Coast Arbs. And then we're working with Jake. Jacob is the Florida Arbor. So you probably have you've probably seen these guys on X, man, because they're coming up, man. They have great feeds. Sid even started live streaming lately. So definitely a few guys to keep your eye on, and we really look forward to talking to those guys soon. And then, right now we're just going to get started and sort of updating you on what we've been doing, how our month of May was, and some of the things that we're looking to get into over the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't wait to talk to these two gentlemen later on. I think they're going to provide a ton of insight, for the audience and probably honestly teach us a thing or two as well. But, we're here again, like we said, and just business has been business. May was an incredible month. I truly didn't even expect it to be that good of a month, right? With NBA regular season not there anymore and just having NBA playoffs and, MLB into full swing, a little bit of tennis, a little bit of WNBA action. But, I topped over $30,000 last month, which was actually, I think my best month so far this year in 2025. A mix of arbitrage, domestic EV, offshore EV, and a few other edges, that Shane and I and a couple other guys have discovered and, that have been doing really, really well. Nothing that we can, disclose at the moment, but, maybe in the near future, when the time is right, we might be able to drop some bombs on you guys.
Yeah, the other edges tab that we've been using in our results. Yeah, exactly. This in May was a big transition into positive expected value for me, right? The ARB well is always going to be there, but we know about the summer and we know it's a little bit of a different market. And so, I, especially with the bankroll that I have, was very confident in pushing the boundaries a little bit, right? Experimenting a lot more with positive expected value and trying to push the profit margins. And I'll tell you what, man, it worked, right? So, I did around almost 7K in ARB profit, and then top that off with almost 4K in positive expected value and other edges. So I just crept over 10K, which for me, honestly, for that May month is substantial. Like that was a huge 5 figures yet again. Was big considering the market that I thought I was going into. It's been really, really a good surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you've gotten a million questions, over the past month like I have. Guys again being concerned about the off season and stuff like that. And it's obviously no secret, right, that even our own expectations are going to be tapered down quite a bit, right? If I can earn even a third or half of what I know we can earn in the fall and the winter time during the summer, I'm completely happy, right? Fucking sun's out, gonna hit the beach with the family, just gonna, touch some grass again and not always have my eyes glued to the screen, right? But with that being said, we've already discovered some arbitrage, EV, and other angles, right, in these summer sports that we're already taking advantage of. So, don't get too discouraged and just write off the summer like it's not a time to be active in betting because there's absolutely money to be made.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I'll speak specifically to Major League Baseball because where I've seen a lot of success are in these main lines, in these totals, right? Even some, to be surprised, even limited books on what you can get on team innings, like team to score, two in an inning or something like that. I'm just shocked at the amount of volume and the amount of bet size you can place in the MLB, even on these limited books.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Another really cool thing that like OddsJam added too is like the liquidity shown for like the exchanges and
Hmm.
the and Pinnacle too. I mean, like using that liquidity for, especially like a book like Pinnacle that is obviously very sharp, right? That's helping me big time for like EV betting,
Hmm.
right? Because before I might have been firing some bets kind of blindly to Pinnacle that Pinnacle's only taking like $200 to $250 on, right? Doesn't mean that Pinnacle's opinion's not right there, but they're obviously not that confident in the market, right? When now we can kind of see, okay, hey, Pinnacle's taking $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, right? If you're getting a 3, 4, 5% EV play to them taking that high a liquidity, then
Confidence.
it's exactly, it's just their confidence level is that much higher. That's a true 3 to 5% edge, right? Whereas if they're taking, a few $100s on the market, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, right? So that's obviously, and that's honestly been a huge game changer so far for EV betting for me, especially live.
Yeah, I've done a lot of educational pieces, and we all have, on how important it is to define the market in positive expected value, right? How do you define that this is truly EV, or at least to the best of your knowledge, so that you can have that confidence to lay these bets down and to reduce variance over time? Those are big aspects of it. And I tell you what, man, I've had a lot of success positive expected value betting through the arbitrage tool.
I agree. I agree. That's honestly kind of what I've been mostly doing, right? Everybody keeps saying, hey, like, how are you hitting ARBs this fast, right? And I might have touched on this in a previous episode. I might have not. I know I've sent probably about 50 of our listeners a voice note that explains kind of what I'm doing, right? But, I kind of chop it up to kind of like trading, right, during baseball and tennis. Obviously, right, in a perfect arbitrage situation, we're going to see the ARB on the screen. We're going to pull up both books, confirm it's an ARB, type in our money, and then submit and submit, right? That's, the safest way to do it, but it's not really always a reality this time of year, right? So you definitely kind of got to be open to a little bit more risk if you want to get in more volume. So like what I'm doing, right, is I see, DraftKings has the under, 8.5 at minus 165. I see 4 other sports books on the screen all have it at like minus 230 to minus 250. Clearly DraftKings is the offside, right? So I'm just trying to get that DraftKings side locked in, for whatever they'll take, maybe $100, maybe $500, whatever it is. I'm just trying to get it locked in. And then immediately after, trying to go hedge out of my EV position, right? 'Cause that's all it is. Every single arbitrage bet has an EV side. If you can just identify which side is EV, get that side in before it's going to move. So that's what I'm doing. I'm hammering the EV side, then going to say, bet online to try to arb out. Maybe my 3% arb went to a 1%. I can make the decision there. Do I want to take my 1% arb or just ride my EV bet? Or maybe my 3% ARB went to a 5% ARB and it got even better. And now I'm
Yeah,
definitely going to lock in the ARB.
yeah.
Sometimes that happens too. And then some people are like, oh, but what if you get one-sided, Well, obviously we don't want to get one-sided. That's usually a bad thing, right? But theoretically, if you got the side that's plus EV or off market in, that's only going to help your results long term, right? You might lose that bet that day and it hurts your results, but if you do that 100 times, 1,000 times, it's actually going to make your results better in the long run, right? That's why it's so important to get the off market side locked in first. You don't want to take the side that's aligned with the rest of the market because obviously then the juice or the vig will cut into your profits long run. But I've been trying to tell everybody that, like, if you do want to ARB during the summer, you're going to have to take a little bit more of a riskier approach, especially live.
Yeah, I've been doing the same, and that's just more of what we were preaching to even before the summer started, was the fact that these offsides, these EV sides are what is likely to move, right? That's the thing that's going to change first. The other lines are a little bit more stable. So, and just like AF said, if it changes and let's say it goes down to 1%, or maybe you can just get a free roll out of it, right? Maybe you just bet enough to hope to see that your EV side wins, but you take out the risk.
Very smart.
But
Yep.
you're putting more profit margin on your EV side. That's definitely something like your boy here would do, because I'm the most risk averse out of all this crew. Yeah, that is me, man. That's the name of the game. But I like to play it safe, so that's definitely some traction that I take there. Um, yeah, I think that's a good start. I mean, obviously hockey's ending, NBA's ending. Get it in while you can. Hell of a game the other night with Indiana pulling it off at the end. I had a hockey game, so I didn't get to watch it. I literally got done playing my hockey game, came out and saw the highlights and was like, holy shit, yeah, what a end to game one. But that's a good thing, man. I see this series going a little bit longer now that
Mhm.
Indiana's pulling off some W's, and that's just more games and more profit for us, man. So, this is your last chance to utilize the hell out of Prop Builder, right? If you have some freshies, man, if you need to start up another one, this is prime time, man. This is the last chance to get it in. So we definitely recommend that.
Yeah, take advantage of it while it's here, right? We have no clue if live prop builder is going to be here or not next year. If I had to bet on it, I'd probably say yeah, since it's still here, during the NBA playoffs with how bad all of us cooked them in the regular season. But yeah, I mean, you never know. So, don't be scared to open up a new account and go hard on it this next week or two.
Yeah, AF, I'm just going to ask you a question, dude, and just kind of briefly roll into it. But I know you've been doing pretty good with tennis EV.
hmm
Um, is it strictly the same process that we just talked about? I mean, is there any difference to how you're attacking the tennis market?
No, pretty much everything that we just talked about. I mean, the main thing again that I'm kind of looking at with tennis is liquidity, right? Again, I mean, before I would just take pretty much any ARB to Pinnacle or any good EV% to Pinnacle because I know they're pretty sharp all around, especially tennis is one of their sharper sports, right? But now that I'm kind of seeing, on the ARB page, like, holy shit, I was betting into, again, some markets that they weren't taking that much money in, which obviously means they're not that confident, right? But now I'm just attacking. I see Pinnacle's taking $3,000 to $4,000 on that line. Then they're obviously very confident, right? And what I'm doing too. A kind of this is a really good tip for every market, right? Is I'm identifying who's actually taking the most money on every market, right? Like Bet Online's not listed on OddsJam or anywhere, and Bookmaker and Circa and stuff like that. So I'm physically going into a lot of these sports books and seeing how much are these guys taking on this market. You know what I'm saying? Limits don't always exactly correlate to how sharp a book is, but kinda, right? Definitely a good percentage it does. So I'm seeing like, oh wow, like a lot of people think Bet Online's extremely sharp, and they are in some aspects, right? But in some markets, right, like tennis, they're only letting you bet to win $250,
Right.
right? Bookmaker, it depends. Sometimes it'll be 500 or 1,000. Sometimes it'll be lower. Sometimes a little bit more. But Pinnacle is definitely taking the most pop, especially on some of these bigger matches and stuff like that. So again, I think just adding that to your Arsenal, right?
hmm
Just that's just another thing just to look at, right? Like you're getting a good EV bet to the entire market into the sharp books, and they're taking, three, four, $5,000 on this market. It just again, like we said a couple minutes ago, like Shane said, it's just an extra added level of confidence that'll probably boost your overall ROI and earnings long term.
hmm
Just another metric, right?
Yeah, and just like always, if patience is key in this scenario because the tennis market is ridiculously
Oh
fast.
yeah.
So, but what you're looking for are laggers.
hmm
You're looking for lines that didn't change when they should have. That's where I found the most success, right? Is seeing that's where you're seeing those arbitrage plays come and go. And so you're not expecting to hit nearly all of them, man. It is kind of it can make your eyes bleed if you stare at it for too long because of how fast it moves, right? But it's just putting in the work. It's just enjoying every little profit piece of arb that you can hit in those situations or EV plays you can hit in those situations, and then moving forward with it, man. Just like anything else, it's part of your arsenal, and you got to respect it and give it its due. And I think you'd be surprised, man. It doesn't take a whole lot of those hits to equal a good day. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, and kind of like what AT always says, like on here and in his trainings and stuff too, is like we talked about like camping the arb and stuff like that in some sports. I mean, tennis is probably the number one sport to camp an arb, right? With how friggin' fast, points and all this shit. I don't even know the terminology in tennis.
Yeah.
That's how bad I am. But how bad the damn ball is going back and forth and shit's changing, right? I mean, sometimes I'll click into, a 10% a 10% EV bet, and the next thing you know, it's not even an EV, and then it's 5%, then it's 10%. I mean, just sitting there, you see how often they fly back and forth. But same thing with arbitrage, right? Sometimes I'll pull it up and it was a 1% and now it's a 3%, right? It's just, it shifts so much. So just because it changed on the OddsJam page, doesn't always mean I'm exactly clicking out of it like I probably would in other sports that have less, variables. In tennis, I'm kind of camping a lot more to see if it comes back.
Yeah. Well, that's some good insight, boys. That's some ways to look into to profit margins over the summer. Obviously, you're going to be leaning into baseball. WNBA can be really good. Again, I'm surprised at some of the bet sizes you can get into. Some of even these alternate lines with WNBA. Bookmaker has been really successful for me with WNBA. Man, there's some books I just didn't really expect to show the profit margins that they are, and it's trial and error, boys. You just got to get in there and do your thing and figure out, where you can hit it, and it'll pay off in the end, man. It's all about doing the work. That was a good download of information. Ask us any specific questions about that stuff, and let's roll into the summer, man. Let's go ahead and crush this thing, and get what we can out of it, because that's what we do. Well, let's go ahead and bring on these boys for the interview. What do you say?
You talking to me? You talking to me? Well, who the hell are you talking? Talking to me?
All right, guys, welcome to the show. We have Jacob and Sid. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves real quick? Tell us a little bit about your journey to edge betting.
Hi, I'm Jake. I'm the Florida Arbor, and basically I got into edge betting and arbitrage back in December. I started with EV betting with a very small bankroll. I probably had around $2,000 to my name at the time, and I actually invested all of that into EV betting. And that went decent for a little bit. And then I realized that if I really wanted to do like EV betting and all this stuff, like in the long run, I needed to actually have more of a bankroll. So I started to do risk-free betting, as in arbitrage. And I mean, ever since then, it's been the best investment of my life. I've turned $2,000 into over $25,000 in the past 5 months.
Yeah, that's damn good for for that limited market state, which is really what we want to dig into today, is how you guys' journey is so much different from everybody else's due to the limit of domestic books and things that you guys have.
Mm-hmm.
But that's good, man. That's a good way to get started, dude. I appreciate the information. Let's go on to Sid, man. What do you got for us?
What's up, guys? I'm Sid. I go by West Coast Arbs on X. I started OddsJam myself back in November 2024, but this was after about a year plus of following guys like Alex, OddsJam Community, and ArbFather on Twitter and just seeing their success. I didn't think it was possible to do this in California, and I was honestly planning to like move to a different state to be able to do this. But last year at the start of football season, there were some new books coming out, the exchanges like Novig and ProfitX. And I was seeing success with people using that. And I just decided to do it myself. And it worked out great. The last 3 months, I think I've made, over $25,000. And I'm looking to keep it going, as long as I can.
Yes, similar profit margins there, and that's excellent that you guys are really showing how possible it is in these limited market states, because I can tell you right off the bat, man, we answer a ton of questions and we do our best to shoot them to you guys. We try to send users your way because honestly, you guys have the most experience and with living and breathing that market. So it's important that people are getting the information straight from the source. Sid, let's start with you, brother. Tell us a little bit about your initial startup to your journey, right? Like, so what books did you start with, and what sort of markets and betting strategies were you using early on?
Yeah, so early on, I was pretty much exclusively doing pre-game arbitrage. And I already had some books downloaded because even before OddsJam, like I've been a sports bettor, sports fan all my life. So I came into OddsJam with Fliff, Rebet, Bovada, and MyBookie. And then upon that first 7-day trial, that's when I added on like ProfitX and Novig. So those were my starting books. And then once I started to kind of get comfortable with the system and arbitrage betting and placing bets and everything that goes on behind the scenes, that's when I started to like kind of expand into more books and more offshores and things like that.
And remind me again what your starting bankroll was, and then sort of explain to us how you disperse that among your initial investment.
Yeah, I think I get this question a lot, and I wish I remembered exactly how much I started with, but I think it was about like $1,000 to $2,000, evenly split between all the books. But looking back, I probably should have added a little bit more to Novig and ProfitX. But once those books were kind of depleted, like once one book had like a zero balance or something, instead of withdrawing from one book to reload the other ones, I just kind of kept investing my own money into it. So my bankroll snowballed with the gains from arbitrage, as well as just me inputting more money into it.
Yeah, that's a smart way to do it. I actually tell people that, when I'm sort of consulting people on startup and what their initial bankroll is, if they're in an area where it's going to be difficult to get quick withdrawals, or we're worried about withdrawals due to limits and things like that can come from those. I usually tell them to keep what sort of a reserve pot, right? And that's kind of not exactly what you did, but in a sense, that's what you did. You had this other source of money that you threw into the investment rather than pushing and pulling from the existing capital, which is, I think, smart. So, for example, if someone's going to start with 2K, I might say put 1,500 in play and keep that 500 to be able to push to where you need it, and then hopefully it will even itself out, and you kind of, you lessen the push and pull and withdrawals and things like that. So I think that's a smart move. Cool, brother. Jacob, why don't you give us a little bit about your initial startup? So I know you, tell us how much you started with again. What were your initial books and what were your initial strategies?
Yeah, so I started with $2,000 in December. The books I was on were Hard Rock, ProfitX, Novig, Fliff, and Bet Online. So I'm pretty sure I had like 400 or something in like Hard Rock, Novig, ProfitX, and Fliff, and then I did the $500 deposit bonus for Bet Online to get like the free $250 free bet. Converted that, bumped the bankroll a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I was doing all pregame EV up until the player prop method, or the prop builder method that you had posted on Twitter. And I saw that last month, and I kind of just like went nuts in April. Like that was a game changer for me.
Yeah, for a lot of people, man, that was we're already missing that, considering the amount of volume we got into that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's painful. I kind of wish they would have had it for MLB and WNBA. That would be nuts.
We literally stood at the sites for the opening pitch and just praying that it was going to show live, and it didn't.
Yeah. But the NBA, it only dropped after the All-Star break, right? Or was it there the whole time?
AF, do you know exactly when it started? Because I don't think I do.
No, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think it was there before the All-Star break. I'm pretty sure it popped right after. So
yeah, so I mean, maybe we could see
Yeah.
something similar like after the All-Star break for MLB, maybe.
We can only hope.
exactly. If not, at least hopefully for NFL. I think that makes the most sense too.
Oh,
If
yeah.
another sport's gonna happen. So
Yeah, NFL would be sick.
yeah, middle century right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I feel like it will happen for NFL just because there are so many player props available,
Oh, yeah.
versus like an MLB situation.
exactly.
So I'm hopeful.
Yeah,
So I guess,
fingers
like,
crossed. Yeah.
I probably have like a question here for you guys. So like obviously I get a million of these questions, like Shane said, and we try to send them to you guys and a couple others that we know are in limited market states and stuff like that. So if someone came to you, right, and said, hey, I have $5,000 bankroll, but I'm in Texas or Florida or California, like what would be your advice to them? Like which initial 4 or 5 books are you going to tell them to get on? Like, are you going to tell them to do EV first or bonuses or arbitrage? Like what would be your tips to a brand new person trying to get into this that's in a state like you guys have? Either one of you guys can answer this question or both.
Yeah, I mean, I would 100% recommend going straight to like a book like Bookmaker, where you can deposit 400 and get 400 free play and use the promo converter on OddsJam. That's an instant like 280, $300 straight to your bankroll. And then going to Bet Online and Sports Betting AG, since they have the same exact bonus, the deposit 500, get 250. hedge those two against each other, get another 200, and then you could just keep gradually doing more, like go on to MyBookie, XBet. I would recommend taking all the promos first to build up your bankroll and get like initially onto like these sites, and then also get the exchanges. Like the exchanges are so important. The exchanges in the offshores, I didn't even use Hard Rock. That's like the one thing I have that Sid doesn't. I didn't even use Hard Rock for a majority of the NBA season because I was limited within the first month. So I was basically doing all offshores, a little bit of flip, and the exchanges.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I love what you said too about the whole bonus thing, right? I think there's just so much money left on the table if you don't take advantage of those. And
Yeah.
I think one of the first things that all of us probably have come across, or maybe even thought ourselves, like when we sign up, right, is like, damn, how the hell am I going to pay for this package, right? But you literally just outlined how you could pay for the first month of Odds Jam within,
Yeah, you
you
can
know,
do it
2
in
or 3
30
bucks.
minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great answer. If you don't mind me jumping in there to add on to that, for those initial books, I get this question a lot. I always tell people to download Novig and ProfitX first, just because if they're trying to get into arbitrage, those are like the easiest things to pair with the offshores. So I always tell people, especially now that there's so much volume coming from Novig, to just allocate a little bit more funds over to Novig.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Novig's my favorite, Bert. It's amazing.
For sure, no doubt.
Yeah, and the sense that you guys get from it, considering your, limited access to so many other books, I mean, it's got to be huge.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
what would the split look like for you guys? Like, are you guys doing all arbitrage at this point? Are you guys doing EV? And then with both of those categories, like what's like the breakdown between like pregame and live?
You could take this, Jake. I think you have more experience with EV, so you probably have a better answer here.
Oh, I really haven't done that much EV. I mean, I was doing live EV with the prop builder because I feel like when I was doing live arbs, I would always win on the prop builder side. So I started doing that a little bit. That worked out pretty well. But ever since NBA stopped, I really haven't done much pregame or live EV. But I mean, now I mainly do pregame arbs. I do a little bit of live arbs when I can. But yeah, I mean, I haven't really had the chance to do live arbs recently because it's just everything moves so quick when you don't really have a one-click button. So it's been difficult the past few weeks, but we'll get there.
Yeah, it's a faster time for the
Yeah.
market in general. Like baseball moves quick, and if you're looking at tennis, it just moves really quick. But
Yeah. I mean, I've been burned a few times.
yeah.
It is what it is.
What kind of, if you don't mind, what kind of volume are you getting in for pre-match? Like, explain to us your typical day and what you're putting in.
Yeah, so this week has actually been a lot slower, which is a little bit concerning. But last week, I mean, I was getting down anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 every single day, except for Thursdays, because Thursdays usually have like 6, 8 baseball games. Yesterday was a little bit of a bigger day, but it all depends on when there's more baseball games for me. Obviously, more games, more volume. But I've been getting down a good bit of money like every single day because my limits on Hard Rock. On basketball, I'm limited to like $10, but on baseball, I can get down up to like $500 wins on hits, run RBIs.
Wow.
Yeah, everything's very different on Hard Rock for sports wise. I'm not sure why they do it like that, but it's worked out great for me.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. I actually have Hard Rock, and I don't believe you do, AF, do you?
No, they're not in Massachusetts, unfortunately.
What else you got, Nate?
Real quick, a question for you, Jake, just to follow up with that. Do you target a certain percent like ROI when you're doing your pregame bets? Especially now that there's like less volume, do you like lower that threshold a little bit?
Yeah, to be honest, I have my my filter set to like 0.5%. So I'm trying to get like anything over 0.5% in. I mean, when I get pairs with Bookmaker and Hard Rock, I can get down like 1,500 on each side. So even if it is 1%, if I get $3,000 down, that's $30 right there. And thankfully I have like the bankroll to be able to do that at the moment, which is pretty sweet. Cause I mean, $30 is like nothing to scoff at. I mean, it's all free money.
That's right. Everything counts. Yeah. And what kind of markets are you laying that kind of bet size down on?
MLB main lines, totals, spreads. Bookmaker lets me get obviously a ton down. Hard Rock, for whatever reason, I can win up to like $2,000 on there. on main lines for MLB, which is awesome considering I went from not even being able to use the app 2 months ago with NBA to being able to like make a killing with it.
That goes hand in hand with what we tell people all the time when they preach to us on limits. When they come to us asking, "I've been limited. What do I do? This seems impossible." It's the fact that they're not doing what you just did, which is testing the markets, testing the books
Exactly.
they have, finding options that exist out there because they're so different among
Yeah.
among everything that we listed. Individual books, individual markets. It's just you have to dig in and spend the time to find out where the angles are.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started posting on Twitter, everyone like in my comments was like, "Oh, I'm limited on Hard Rock." And I'm like, "Did you check your MLB limits?" And they're like, "No." And they go and check them and they see, "Oh, I can get down $500 on this guy's alternate strikeouts or whatever. Or I can get $2,000 on a main line, but only $10 on NBA." But like they do that to everyone. Like everyone's basketball, for whatever reason, gets limited to $10 if you win. But baseball and NHL are totally different. Same with NFL.
Yeah, that tracks. People get so used to just smashing player props and other niche markets on books, and it's just an endless easy money tree at first, and then they don't divert from that. When that leaves, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But that's why we exist, man. That's what we want to do is give them the right information to find that on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Sid, same kind of question, man. Like what kind of volume are you getting in on a daily basis? What markets, things like that. Where are you drawing your profit from?
Yeah, so a little bit less volume on the pregame than Jake. I think I'll probably actually lower my threshold to 0.5 also and try to take some lower return plays just to get that volume in, just because it has been slower recently. But I mean, like during peak NBA season, like March and April, I was easily getting down like 15K pregame, and with some good ROA too. So definitely Novig, ProfitX were getting most of the volume for at least one side of the ARB. And then usually I'd be pairing that with a prop builder offshore. So at the time before I was limited, MyBookie and then Bet Online and Bet US for a little bit. As well as like Bet 105 has been good for me on the main lines to get down a lot of money. Bookmaker as well. My bankroll's a lot bigger now on Bookmaker, so I could get down more money. But previously it was a bit modest. But really I just have like a lot of books, and you never know when the volume is going to come each day. So it's like important to me to have all the books just to have access to all of them.
Very good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. What would you guys say, like, obviously we all know the summertime's much harder and stuff, and it's going to be a grind throughout the next few months, right? Where our expectations and stuff are going to be much lower compared to the fall and the winter time. But what would you guys say? How much time, typically are you putting in each day, right? Are you sitting and staring at the screen for 6 to 8 hours? Are you guys putting in only an hour or two? What kind of, realistic time are you guys putting in?
I mean, I've got my alerts on. That's really all I need right now.
Yeah. Yep.
Like sometimes, I mean, sure, I'll sit there when I'm not doing anything and I'll just stare at like the screen refresh on OddsJam and see the new bets pop up. But I got the alerts on, so whenever I see some, I just go on the app, and a lot of times I can just get it down. And but along with that, there's also peak times, especially for me in Florida, like right when Hard Rock's lines drop. So a lot of times when there's games at like 1 p.m. the night before, from like 11 p.m. to 1 a.m., I'll usually just be like staring at OddsJam, just waiting for stuff to pop up. And when it does, I'll get it in. And then when there's games at like 6 p.m. like today, I'll either get on, 8 a.m. because that's usually when the lines drop, or around like this time, like 12 to 2 p.m. And a lot of stuff comes up, or a lot of new opportunities will pop up for me. So there's really specific times that I've kind of learned to know, rather than just staring at like my computer screen or my phone screen all day. I just know the times to get on.
Yeah, it's true. It's where you're going to see market fluctuation, right? That and usually, somewhere between an hour or two before tip off.
Yeah.
It's just another good time frame where
Yeah, that was big for NBA, was the hour before tip off.
Yeah, you see market shift. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Little different answer for me on that, especially now for summer, and now that I have platinum. I'm a remote worker, so I'm pretty much at my desk all day long, and I have multiple monitors. So I just throw up the odds jam screener on one monitor, let it auto refresh, and then whenever something pops up that I would take, I'm like locked in and ready to take it as soon as possible. So that's really helpful for me, especially for books where we're getting arbitrage opportunities from exchanges, because that liquidity can go up real fast. So it's nice for me to be able to get that real quick. But in terms of hours per day, I'm kind of logging a lot of hours just because I am at my desk most of the day anyways. So that's why I can get a lot of volume in consistently.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge advantage, being able to have that pulled up while you're working and stuff like that. I know one of you guys mentioned potentially considering moving to another state, that might have legal books and stuff like that. So I guess a question to both of you, and Sid, I guess you could just continue talking here. What is this for you guys? Like, what's your goal, right? Is this just a part-time side hustle until you get limited on all your accounts, or is this potentially something that you're trying to, see how far it can go, maybe lead into a full-time thing, or where you guys' heads at in terms of that stuff?
Yeah, for me, I'm definitely on the side of trying to make it a full-time thing. I've been a sports fan my whole life. I've been like betting on sports on offshore books since like literally the month I turned 21 and was able to like download all of them. So this is kind of like almost like a dream come true. So I really am just trying to see how far I can stretch it. And I was the one who said I was like down to move to a different state. 2 times already, I traveled to Arizona specifically just to access like all those domestic books and take advantage of the promos and kind of see where, like how much more potential there is to earn money in a different state versus California. And it's honestly been crazy. My fiance has been shocked by it too. I know she doesn't want to move to Arizona, but she says she's down because, she sees the potential of it too.
Yo, maybe we could live together. I'm moving.
The syndicate is building here.
Yeah, I'm moving to Arizona in September.
Oh, no way, dude.
Yeah,
Congrats.
to make it like a full-time thing. Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
So
killer, man.
that's the
sick,
idea
dude.
of the move. That's the idea of the move, to make this
That is-
full time.
Yeah, so I think I don't remember which one of you I'd reached out to, but I had reached out to one of you and told you that I was probably going to Virginia. And I was thinking about it, and then I realized, like, why would I really want to go, be in cold ass Virginia when I can go over to Arizona and I like golfing, like I golf a lot, and they got beautiful courses over there. So I figured I just have a better quality of life in, the best state in the country to do this. And where I can actually go out and do like a bunch of activities and live my life.
Yeah, question I had for Jake. So Sid said his I forget if he said his girlfriend or fiance was completely on board. How about you, Jake? How does your immediate family feel about all of this stuff?
So I had told my mom about this a couple months ago, and my parents are actually like very supportive of everything I'm doing. I showed them the results after the first couple months, and they were like, wow, this is amazing. And that was kind of when I told them that I wanted to move. And I brought that up, and they were like, yeah, sure, go for it. I mean, you're young. Like, if you're ever going to do something like this, like, now is the time. So I was like, all right, here we go. So yeah, now I'm either moving alone or with my girlfriend in September.
Yeah, it'll be here before you know it, man. What kind of attack plan do you have when you get there, as far as books and markets and things like that?
Yeah, so I'm kind of building up a network right now. I mean, I'm gonna have all fresh accounts and everything because I've never really used any of the books. I mean, I've traveled to like Louisiana or whatever in New York and signed up for like FanDuel, DraftKings, but right when I get there, I want to do like all the promos and everything. I want to get a few P2s, do the promos on those and just build the bankroll up even more. I kind of want to set aside a phone for pregame and one for live.
Yeah, I envision success, man. It sounds like you already know the game well. So I mean, hopping into a market like Arizona, especially during the fall, you should pop off good, man.
Yeah, I feel like it might be like a little overwhelming at first because I mean, I have like 11 books, and when I go there, I mean, I'll have all my offshores and stuff. I'll have everything I had before plus 11 more.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when they're all fresh. Oh, yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, you're for sure gonna kill it there. The 2 times I went to Arizona, like it was a significant jump in my profits. So
All live or
especially with the
pregame too?
experience I have. Yeah. So with those books in Arizona specifically, I was just doing live,
Mm-hmm.
just for like account health and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, there's a ton of volume consistently, and the ROI is a lot better. So you're gonna bank there.
Yeah, I'm so unbelievably excited. Like I've been gambling like my whole life, and to be able to make like a living out of it is just kind of absurd to me. I mean, I made a post on Twitter the other day, like if you would have told me like, a couple years ago that I would have made $17,000 between the last 2 months, I would have told you you're crazy.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys sharing this with the community again, because there is such a large audience in the limited market states that just aren't exposed to the success that you guys are having, and they really don't really understand how to do it. So I encourage those guys out there, definitely those guys listening to this who have questions about those limited market states, to hit up Jake and Sid, right? Hit up West Coast Arb, hit up Florida Arbor. We have some Texas contacts too. We have Wisconsin contacts. So reach out to us, let us know. We'll get you in touch with these guys, and you can hash out specific strategies with them.
Yeah. And please reach out. I mean, everyone in this space wants like everyone else to win. It's all about beating the books. Like we all are here to like support each other and help each other make money.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you guys that, sort of like these people that we send you, how does it personally make you feel post, seeing someone succeed or getting that thank you, comment back, or, just the sort of reaction they have to the reality of this thing.
Yeah, I mean, it always feels great to help people. I mean, I had a few of my buddies that started doing this a couple months ago, and they had like they made a couple $1,000s last month in their first month. They were like, "Bro, thank you so much. Like, I didn't even know any of this was possible." So it feels great to help other people out and help them make, even if it's just like some extra money for a vacation or whatever. It feels great to help people out.
For sure. Motivating for sure. And I'm just trying to give back to people the same way that, you guys have given to me, like Arb Father, Arb Thief, Arbologist. You're kind of newer to the space, but you've been helpful too. But like Arb Father, Alex, and Arb Thief, like since 2023, I've been messaging them slowly and like trying to get my feet wet. But they've always been super helpful with everything. So yeah, just giving back in the same way.
Yeah, you guys have been incredibly helpful for my journey as well. I mean, mostly everything I learned, like I would have never had like my biggest month ever without you, Shane.
Yeah, that was all of us, man. We definitely put that together, and we were happy to share that with everyone. We just wanted to make sure it was all legit and push it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
One thing I want to lean into is Sid, you recently started live streaming, correct?
Yesterday was my first live stream.
There you go. Give us your plans with that, and how you sort of continue to what's your plans with continuing to do that, and sort of your expectation.
Yeah, that was just kind of a new thing I did yesterday. I never imagined myself being, well, even in the first place, like with the Twitter account that I have now, that's kind of slowly gaining traction. I never imagined that I'd be like big into the social media scene or like getting my face out there for the public. But once I did it yesterday, it was pretty fun. Like I was on there for 2 hours. Those 2 hours flew by. And I'll probably just start to do it a little bit more during the summer. It is going to be slower, so I might venture into some DFS, because I was doing DFS a lot before I did arbitrage. So I might get back into that a little bit. But just kind of going with the flow there, see where it takes me.
Yeah, it's something I think we're all going to dip our toes in sooner or later when we get set up correctly, because the transparency in those live feeds, right? Like you just can't deny it. There's no more back and forth on Twitter about how do you do this, and I don't believe you're doing this. Well, just come check the live stream out. Just watch it happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a huge way to put this out there to the people, man. So I applaud you for doing that, and I hope you continue, brother.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, and I guess just one last thing, right, for each of you guys to maybe cap this off. Like, Maybe two questions actually. So like, if you could go back 6 months ago when you guys first started, is there anything that you guys would have done differently? And two, just give one piece of advice to the audience, like, whether they're in a limited market state like yours or just, starting in general, just what's one good piece of advice that you would give people starting out?
If I were to do one thing differently, I probably would have killed the prop builders. Like I would have max bet every single time. I was doing like $100 bets paired with the exchanges. When at the time I probably could have done more because I was afraid of getting limited on the prop builders, which is pretty stupid because of how many there are. I mean, I feel like there's like unlimited access to the prop builder. I mean, you got XBet, MyBookie, BetUS, Bovada. Like there's so many different sites with that. So when I was getting like 4% college basketball arbs paired with a prop builder, and I was getting down like $100 when I could have been getting down like $300, I would say that was probably the biggest mistake. And then also getting onto some like offshores that were a little bit sketchier that kind of stinted my journey. I mean, there was one of them called Betwell, really was not a fan of. It took me forever to get my money out of there and finish the rollover because as soon as I got on there, they limited me to like $5 on like main bets. So I had to kind of live bet my way out of there, out of the rollover.
Yeah, that's a more common thing than we wish for. So I mean, it's good that you mentioned that to educate the people. And there's some posts out there on Twitter. DM any of us and ask specifically about which books we recommend. And we're gonna steer you in the direction of the ones that have been established, right, and been in
Yeah.
business since some of them the middle 80s, late 80s, stuff like that. So we're talking years and years of business. So, we'll steer clear of the bet wells and some of the other things like that, that we either have never used or, I don't really trust. So, but that's,
Yeah.
that's a great learning experience. Yeah. And the rollovers are huge to mention that, really pay attention to those if you're a new user, right? Look out for the 40x rollovers on some insane bonus because it looks,
Exactly.
it looks really good. And if you don't know what you're getting into, you're going to get stuck.
Yeah, that happened to me with BetUS. I had like a massive rollover when I was like first starting out, and I had put $1,000 in, and I had to like play through $18,000 with like a $4,000 bankroll at the time. So yeah, you kind of just have to pay attention to the rollovers, like really read through the details of what you're getting into.
Yeah, great. And by all means, ask us. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with me with BetUS
Yep.
specifically with that rollover. I think it was like a $10. Like I thought I completed the rollover, but I think they like offered like a free $10 bet or something random that I took, and it like added like a bunch of rollover on top of like my initial deposit rollover. So like that's why it took a long time. So I think if you're doing promos and things like that, just be aware of what you're getting into and make sure you know the rollover requirements before you kind of start hammering arbitrage bets and potentially getting limited before the rollover is completed.
Yeah.
Don't let that scare you away from the offshores. They are lucrative. They
Yeah,
are
no,
a
they're
game
legal.
changer. Just make sure you're, doing your due diligence and starting up right.
Yeah.
Sid, give us a little bit about what you would do differently to go back to AF's question.
Yeah, so I think what I would do is as soon as I kind of was comfortable with arbitrage and the system and getting bets down and everything, I probably should have just downloaded all the books and kind of deployed more money into it as soon as I could, just to get that volume even faster. Because I think I picked up on arbitrage like within 2 months, but I didn't deploy all the capital I had like in the background immediately, which I definitely could have. Like I could have put a lot more into like Novig and ProfitX, and taken advantage of some of those ARB pairings and kind of made more money that way. Um, but yeah, just like kind of investing myself more into it early on would have been great too.
Yeah, I totally agree with both of you guys. I think you guys both made great points that I can relate to as well. Going to like what Sid said, I started with $5,000, but I only had a goal of $33 a day, right? Which I was getting with like $1,000 into play, and I just was not to call myself dumb, but I was a little bit dumb or naive back then. I didn't really realize like, hey, why don't I put this other $4,000 into market and make more money every day, right? I was just so happy with making my extra $1,000 a month. So I definitely crippled myself a little bit at the beginning. And then to Jake's point as well about just like slow playing accounts or slow playing edges, like I think that's a number one mistake anybody can make, because I've seen so many things come and go over the last 2 years that like I look back and reflect now and I just think like I could have made double or triple the amount of money if I just attacked it way harder, right? Like we don't know if that prop builder thing's going to be here next NBA season, right? So like in reality, we all should have just $250 on every single live one or $500 on every single pregame one if we could, right? So I think it's just all about, whatever's going on right now that's printing money, just attack it and then worry about, replenishing accounts or finding another edge later. Just make the money while you can.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, guys, let's go ahead and tell the audience again how to connect with you guys. Sid, why don't we start with you, man?
Yeah, so you guys could DM me at West Coast Arbs. I answer everybody's questions. No question goes unanswered. Yeah, just Twitter for now.
Yeah, same here. Just the Florida Arbor on Twitter. The handle will probably change in September when I move to Arizona. But yeah, I love to help you guys out. Just if you have any questions, please feel free to comment them or shoot me a DM. I love helping everyone out, and I just want everyone to be successful.
Yeah, we sure do. We sure do appreciate you guys' time, man. I mean, number one, it's key to have examples of success in these market states, because as much as we can preach to it from our end and tell them how it's possible and all these things, like you are the proof, right? And we don't live in those states to be able to do it, to show it to them. So it's highly important, and we're super glad you're a part of the community.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
All right, guys, we'll stay in touch. Appreciate your time.
Alrighty. Sounds good.
All right, thanks.
The most valuable commodity I know of is information. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, all right, AF. I don't know about you, brother, but I really enjoyed that conversation with those guys, man. It's refreshing to connect with more folks in the community, and especially to put that information out there about these limited market states.
Yeah, man, that was awesome. Awesome interview. I learned a couple things, and I'm sure the audience will take a lot away from it.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you for joining us today. We're really glad to get back into the show. We plan on keeping it consistent, man, bringing you some more info as soon as we possibly can. But if you need to reach out to us, don't forget, we're at BTO_podcast on X. Send us a DM, man. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time.